Hope you're having a good day. In this live stream, we're going to be researching the fight between Sean O'Malley and Aljamain Sterling. So if you're watching this upload after the fact on YouTube, the reason why it's not that structured, there's no timestamps or anything like that, is because we're going to be researching this fight as a group right now, taking a look at O'Malley's recent fights, Sterling's recent fights, to try and work this out from a betting point of view and see who is more likely to win. So we're going to get into that in just a moment. I just want to make sure that all the streams are working. We're just up on YouTube. There we go. Up on Twitch as well. And it looks like everything is working. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We'll be starting in just a moment. Yeah, we are up on YouTube. Great. Okay. Excellent. Let's get into it. Awesome. Alright, let's go. So, if we start off by taking a look at the odds on this one, we can see that... Where are we? Okay, so Aljamain Sterling is a relatively big favourite at average odds of around 1.38, which is going to be minus 263 for an implied probability of 72%. We take a look at the odds on O'Malley. He's around an average of 3.10, which is going to be plus 210 for an implied probability of 32%. So Sterling is 34 years old, 5'7", with a 71-inch reach, and O'Malley is 28 years old, 5'11", with a 72-inch reach. So both guys have about the same reach. O'Malley is obviously longer and taller than Aljamain Sterling, but I think the body types of both these guys give them certain strengths and weaknesses. So even though O'Malley is longer and taller, I don't really think he has an advantage here, because even though he uses his length very well, Sterling has got that smaller, compact, more muscular frame, a real abundance of physicality with his grappling. So there's like strengths and weaknesses to every body type, and obviously with Sterling being shorter, he's also a lot more muscular and physically imposing than O'Malley. The only other X factor that I can think of on this one, unless you guys, you know, have got any ideas about things I'm missing, is that Sterling has come out in the last few days and said that this will definitely be his last fight at bantamweight. He has said that the weight cut is getting too difficult for him, and he wants to kind of move aside and give Merab his time to shine. So I don't think it's going to like affect Sterling's motivation or focus or anything coming into this fight. But it's just something to bear in mind that this is probably going to be the last time we see Sterling at bantamweight. Oh, nice one, Giovanni. Thanks a lot for the kind words, mate. Unfortunately, this card doesn't look great for betting. I don't have any bets on it yet, but you never know, man. We might dig something up on this fight, but I'm not so sure. I think this card's going to be a tricky one. So let's get into watching some fights. So the way that this is going to work is, obviously I can't show the UFC fights on stream because it'll get taken down for copyright. So the way we're going to do it, as ever, is we'll watch the fights together as a group, kind of sync them up, watch them, and then we'll talk about them as they're happening. So which fight should we start with first? I feel like we should watch O'Malley versus Peter Yan first, because prior to that we hadn't really seen anyone test Sean O'Malley's takedown defense and ground game. Peter Yan was kind of the first guy to do it, and since Aljamain Sterling's predominantly a grappler, I feel really early into this stream, knowing how O'Malley's takedown defense and ground game looks, is gonna, you know, it's gonna enable us to get the most out of when we watch footage of Aljamain. So what I will do is drop links to O'Malley, Yan in the YouTube and the Twitch. So sync up the first round of this for me, guys. There it is in Twitch as well. Sync it up, and there's the ESPN Plus link as well. There we go. So the first round of O'Malley versus Yan starts in 1 minute and 58 seconds. That's 1 minute 58. Starts in 1 minute 58. 1 minute 58. Get it going. 1 minute 58. One minute 58. All right, let's get into this first round. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start it up. Let's go. Let's see what we've got. So, I remember watching this fight live and being quite impressed with O'Malley's takedown defense and ground game, because a lot of guys with O'Malley's body type, like that long, lean, skinny frame, have usually got pretty bad takedown defense, because when they're skinny, they're weak in the lower body. But I remember thinking O'Malley's takedown defense looked a lot better than I expected. Obviously, Aljamain Sterling is a much better offensive wrestler than Peter Yan is. But still remember being impressed. So this fight is going to tell us a lot about how O'Malley may be able to defend himself on the ground against Sterling. So we can see O'Malley just circling on the outside, and I would expect him to face O'Malley in a similar range. The reason why O'Malley wants to be on the outside like this is so that when Peter Yan does shoot a takedown, he hasn't got to move back very far before he can get his back tight to the cage to use the cage as a base to defend the takedown and wall walk if he does get taken down. So I would expect O'Malley to fight in exactly the same range against Sterling. You can see O'Malley's doing a great job of just circling on the outside, just chipping away at Yan. We know Yan's a slow starter, so even though he's not able to land anything here and he's getting outstruck by a wide margin, we'll have to see how much better Yan does in the second and third rounds. But O'Malley's footwork movement, it's amazing. He's doing a great job of just chipping away at Yan, racking up major volume. And Yan's not really getting near him at the moment as we approach the midway point of round one. The footwork and the movement of O'Malley is spectacular. I think, as much as I love O'Malley, the problem he may have is obviously Sterling's a super strong grappler, and when he moves up to featherweight now, he's going to be replaced in the division by another strong grappler in Merab. I think that's O'Malley's problem. These elite grapplers could potentially give him big problems, but maybe not. You know, maybe not. Even here where Peter Yan's closing the distance using his striking to set up the takedown, even then O'Malley's striking defense is superb, because even though you can see O'Malley's preoccupied by the threat of the takedowns, he's kind of keeping his hands lower, expecting the shot, he's still able to use head movement and footwork to evade Yan's strikes. So like, O'Malley's striking defense is absolutely elite. Obviously he's given up a takedown here. He's got a very active guard. Be interesting to see if he can use the cage here to wall walk back up to his feet with a minute left to go in the round, because obviously you'd expect him to be, you know, put in this position early by Aljamain too. So that's a tricky position. I don't want to take anything away from Sean O'Malley, because ultimately, you know, Yan gave him the space to pop back up to his feet, and he took it and popped back up to his feet really quickly, which is exactly what O'Malley should do in that position. But that's kind of like 50% O'Malley scrambling back up to his feet and 50% Yan kind of letting him back up, because Yan got the takedown there and then didn't really try and maintain top position. He gave O'Malley the space he needed to pop back up while he went to his ground and pound. There you see Tanquinho in O'Malley's corner, Augusto Mendes. He wasn't in the UFC for too long for some reasons. He did well in the UFC. I'm not sure why he ever left, but Tanquinho in O'Malley's corner. So you know he's got some top-notch training partners, very high-level grapplers, with Tanquinho giving him advice. So really, really good first round for Sean O'Malley, actually. And I remember when this fight took place live, there was some controversy around the scoring of the fight. So what I really like to do in matchups such as this, when there's like, you know, controversy over how the fight was scored, is we all score it as a group, right? To try and figure out what the correct scorecard was. So sync this second round up for me, guys, which starts at 8 minutes and 13 seconds, while we then talk about how that first round should have been scored. So how did you score round one, guys? Let me know. As you sync the second round up, how did you score round one? Personally, I go round one O'Malley. The reason why I score the first round for O'Malley is because from my perspective, O'Malley outstruck Peter Yan by quite a wide distance in that first round. Yes, Peter Yan got a takedown towards the end of the round, but he didn't really do anything with it. Didn't really establish top position for longer than maybe 30-40 seconds. Didn't really land much ground and pound. Didn't attack any submissions. And at the very end of the round, O'Malley had been able to work his way back up to his feet. So for me, the grappling that Peter Yan had didn't really score very high, because he only really grappled effectively for 30-40 seconds. Didn't achieve a whole lot with it. And outside of that, O'Malley outstruck Peter Yan by a wide margin for the rest of the round. So watching this back in the cold light of day, I think Sean O'Malley won that first round pretty clear. But let me know how you think about that round, guys. Let me know who you think won that round. Let me know. What's up, Hingle? Hope you're doing good, mate. Hingle is saying, remember O'Malley was cheating in many of those grappling exchanges with Yan. I didn't see any cheating from O'Malley in that first round, but we'll keep an eye on it, man. Giovanni said he was grabbing the cage a lot at the time, and Aljo doesn't grapple, he just goes for back takes, and O'Malley does give up his back a lot. Subject Southpaw is saying Aljamain Sterling beat Tanquinho. I didn't know that, mate. Nice one, Subject Southpaw, for dropping major knowledge there, dude. Hey, Mikey Brown, I hope you're doing good, mate. Mike Brown. Mike, you cornering anyone this weekend? Any ATT guys this weekend, Mike? I would imagine with a gym as big as ATT, Mike Brown's coaching guys bloody every week, I would imagine, in different promotions. Or not coaching, cornering. I didn't realise I'd lost weight, mate. I don't measure my weight or anything like that, but I have been intermittent fasting for about a month now. I absolutely love it. Like, I don't know anything about health, diet, all that kind of stuff. I did start intermittent fasting about a month ago, and what I would say, guys, 2 things have surprised me about intermittent fasting. So I basically eat for 8 hours a day and I fast for 16 hours a day, which is what like most people recommend. And I didn't do it to lose weight. I did it to just try and get healthier, because my lifestyle is really unhealthy, where I work a lot. I'm always sat at a computer. My sleep cycle's all over the place, because obviously UFC events are broadcast at like 6 a.m. in the UK. So towards the end of the week, I'm like a vampire. I have to stay up all night, sleep all day. So I started intermittent fasting, just trying to get healthier. 2 things that have surprised me about it. The first thing is it's a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like, it's nowhere near as hard as I thought. It's a lot easier. Like, I actually enjoy it. Like, I prefer eating like this now. And the second thing is I've got a lot more energy, which is kind of crazy. Like, if I go off track for one day, because like my schedule means I'm not going to be able to do the intermittent fasting, and say I might have like a McDonald's or a Burger King or something for lunch, I feel like absolute shit for the rest of the day. It's like I've got a hangover or something. I just feel absolutely dreadful. And then on those days where I am intermittent fasting, I've got so much energy. I feel so much more alive. Like, it just makes me feel so much better. So yeah, I'm not trying to lose weight, but thanks a lot for pointing it out, Mike. But I have been intermittent fasting, and I'm absolutely loving it, man. I can't recommend it enough. Just drink loads of water, and that's about it, man. It's great. So Louis Perez said that the striking stats for the first round was 19 versus 23. But if we watch the first round, we just watched it. O'Malley, striking stats aren't significant. Striking stats on UFC broadcasts, they're not really that accurate because they count like blocked strikes, deflected strikes, the same as strikes that land clean and hard. So yeah, I don't really pay too much attention to stats like that. When we go back and watch that first round, we can see O'Malley outstruck PEM pretty clear. Mimi thinks that O'Malley's a great underdog bet and has been doing good in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitions. Yeah, I did research the Zhang versus Lemos fight, Mimi. I'll drop a breakdown video for that fight tomorrow, mate. I'll put it on. I'll put the YouTube breakdown video out tomorrow for Zhang versus Lemos. Giovanni is saying, I think if you're betting O'Malley to do a first round finish or a second round finish, don't see him winning after that if he's going to win. I'm not so sure, man, because Sterling does slow down in fights, so I see it as the other way. I think the longer it goes, the better it gets for O'Malley, because the more tired Aljamain gets, the harder it's going to be to take O'Malley down and hold him down. I think if O'Malley is going to win, it'll come by taking over in the second half of the fight and outworking Aljamain. But I think the Cejudo fight is going to be great for seeing if that's plausible, because obviously the Cejudo versus Sterling fight was contested at a really high pace, and Sterling was forced to work very hard by Cejudo. Probably harder than O'Malley will be able to make him work, because obviously Cejudo's defensive wrestling, takedown offense, ability to scramble back up to his feet is going to be much better than O'Malley's. So I think that fight will give us some really good insight when we go to watch it. Oh Jesus, Giovanni takes it to the next level. So Giovanni does 20 hours fasting, 4 hours eating. You know what? I would like to give that a try. I do think I can push it like further than I do now. Like, it's not as hard as I thought, man. That's amazing, Giovanni, mate. Cameron, I don't research the Contender Series, mate. The only reason, so basically, right, I'll just explain this really quick, because I do have a few people asking me about the Contender Series lately. So the reason why I don't bother with the Contender Series is because if you guys have watched, and I have to explain this because a lot of people don't know this happens, but if you go to my YouTube channel, I've got a few videos. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. I've just got a few videos where basically, as soon as you start to make a bit of money on betting accounts, basically the betting sites close your account down. And I've got videos, if you watch them here, which shows this happening. So the reason why I don't bother with the Contender Series is because the Contender Series fights are really low liquidity. Basically, no one bets them. Like, in the big picture, no one bets a Contender Series. If you think of all the revenue that a betting site will do, what percentage of the revenue is going to be on the Contender Series, right? Probably less than 1%. If you consider like the NFL, the NBA, football / soccer, boxing, big UFC fights, like the Contender Series fights are nothing, right? Really, really small percentage of the overall betting site's business. And what happens is, if you bet really niche things, like really low liquidity things, like the Contender Series, like maybe like the Contender Series, fucking surfing, table tennis, if you bet like these really niche sports which no one bets, it makes your account stand out on the betting site. Like, say you bet the Contender Series and you absolutely crush it, well, your account is going to stand out on that betting site because no one else is betting that. So your account can easily show up in reports, get flagged for review. The goal of trying to make as much money, as much profit possible per betting account is to try and stay under the radar, stay in the shadows for as long as possible before you get banned. So if you look at my results on live betting the UFC, which is like my bread and butter, like live betting the UFC is like my speciality. If we scroll down, so yeah, you can see our results for live betting the UFC. We make profit almost every month live betting the UFC. So the reason why I stay away from stuff like the Contender Series is because I don't want to lose accounts over it. Even if I could maybe make a little bit of profit on the Contender Series, it's not worth having my betting accounts closed for those bets when the max bet limits are low, the liquidity is low, and I know I can make way more live betting football in the UFC. So I just stay away from all the small promotions. I don't bother with Bellator, PFL, Contender, nothing. Because if you bet those promotions and you're profitable, your betting accounts will get closed down so fast. Like when I first started out, I would bet everything. I would bet LFA, I would bet KSW, I would bet Invicta, I would literally bet everything. But all that happened is my betting accounts would get closed down so fast. I just had to stop because in the long run it was costing me money betting those promotions because I would be missing out on gains I could have made if those accounts would have stayed open longer. So yeah, I don't even bother with the Contender Series, man. I don't even watch it, which is a shame because obviously if betting accounts weren't, or if betting sites weren't total fucking bastards which shut us down, then I would have like another 5 fights a week to bet. But that's the fucking way it is, man. Betting sites are corrupt, fucking evil, unfortunately, man. Very annoying. Mimi, so my pick for the fight is, so when you look at the fight, right, between Zhang and Lemos, it's a good stylistic matchup for Zhang, but her odds reflect that. Like, she's a massive favourite. And the thing is, Lemos is dangerous enough where you really wouldn't want to be betting on Zhang in this odds range. Even though I think it's more likely Zhang wins, the risk to reward ratio on Zhang is very bad because of how dangerous Lemos is, both standing up and on the ground. So it's one of those fights that's very difficult for betting. But I'll go into a lot more depth on in the breakdown video tomorrow, man. Oh, a few of you intermittent fast, man. A does it as well. So Cameron is asking about what I do to make a new account. So dude, like I hate talking like this because I really dislike it because, right, so basically you guys have probably noticed I mentioned that I live bet a lot on my channel. In all my videos I say like live betting UFC is like my main thing, which it is, but you guys have probably noticed that I don't make any content on live betting at all. Like I literally make zero content. If you go to my channel, I don't talk about what I actually do. The reason why I don't make any content related to live betting is because it is a bit of a legal grey area. So Cameron's basically asking me what I do to make new accounts. I can't really answer that because it is in various different countries a very grey legal area, which it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because ultimately it's the betting sites that are acting unethically and, in my opinion, criminally, right? By forcing people to play a game they can't win. Like, you know when you see betting sites advertise betting on sports, what are they always advertising, right? They're always advertising based on how much money you can make betting on sports. You know, they're trying to sell a dream to people so that they'll open accounts, they'll bet on sports, and they'll hopefully make money, right? That's why people open accounts and bet on sports. How many people would open accounts and bet on sports if they knew as soon as you make just a measly few $1,000s profit, your account is going to get closed. So this is why I think the betting sites are absolutely evil, unethical, and it's a disgrace that they shut down profitable players so quickly. However, I can't go out on stream and start talking about how to make new accounts, because it's like in that grey area, man, that legal grey area. So it's really tricky. Like, I can't really go into it, but what I would say is there is a lot of information online. If you Google things like Nomin, I'll actually type it out for you so you know how to spell it. If you Google Nomin and multi-accounting, you'll find a lot of information about it online. Like, I can't go into it, I can't say it. It's a legal grey area. I might get myself into a lot of trouble, which is why I don't talk about it online. But yeah, these two things, if you Google that, you could probably earn quite a lot, or learn quite a lot about it. And it makes a big difference. The things you can do make a big difference to getting, to earning a lot more profit per account. Noah is saying, are you a profitable trader? Your Bitcoin setup looks sick. Yes, mate, I am a profitable trader. And I'm hoping, man, I'm really, really hoping that by the end of this upcoming Bitcoin halving cycle, hopefully I'll be able to retire. Hopefully. If I can't retire, at the very least, I think I might be able to stop betting MMA. I hope. What I'm trying to do is replace my MMA income with Bitcoin trading income. But it's obviously risky. So even though at the moment I'm doing really well with trading, I'm earning a lot of money, I'm really conscious that, like, the market environment is cyclical and it changes all the time. So before I would kind of have the balls, like, what's crazy is, right, even though I gamble for a living, the irony of that is that I am like a very cautious person. Like, I'm very risk averse. So before I like quit my day job and moved full time into betting sports, I'd probably been making money betting on the UFC for like almost 10 years. Like, it took me 10 years to get the courage and build up the balls to be like, right, I can do this. I'm just going to quit my day job. And now I'm having those same feelings with Bitcoin trading. Like, even though, like, I'm earning enough now to make a living from the Bitcoin trading, I know that could change because it's like cyclical. So even though I've been doing all right this year, would I still perform as good in a different, like a different market environment? So what I basically did to quit my day job and go full time into betting on sports is what I did. Over 10 years, I saved up enough money to have an entire year's living expenses. So I had my betting bankroll, and then I also had my year's living expenses. And I did that because I thought, if say I completely implode and I do absolutely terrible and I don't make any money betting and I lose everything, it all like goes to shit, at least I've got like a year's living expenses, like completely separate from my betting money. That'll give me time to go back and get a job. So it's like a safety net. So I'm trying to use the same principle now with Bitcoin, where basically I want to save up like an entire year of living expenses purely from money earned from trading, like nothing else, like no website revenue, no sports betting money at all. Have that completely separate, save up a year's living expenses from Bitcoin on top of the money I trade with, and then that'll give me like a safety net to make that breakaway. I don't know if I can do it. Maybe I can, maybe I can't, but I do find trading a lot easier than betting on sports. For me, it's a lot easier, nowhere near as stressful. It's a lot easier, but it took me a long time to learn, right? So I've been trading since like 2019. I got into crypto in like 2016. Been trading since 2019, so it has been a long, hard road. It's like 4 years of learning to trade, and 2016 would be 7 years of learning crypto. So it's been a long time, but hopefully I'll get there in the end, man. So yeah, my goal is like that by the end of this halvening cycle, hopefully I'll be able to make the jump. And the end of this halvening cycle will probably be like spring, winter or spring 2025. So it's a ways to go yet, man. It's a ways to go. It is a ways to go. Alright, what else have we got? What else have we got? Oh, we can get rid of this now as well. Also, we might get some NFT type stuff up in a second as well. I know NFTs... Oh yeah, here we go. I know NFTs have got a really bad reputation, but what did Warren Buffett say? What did Warren Buffett say, guys? Right? So this is an NFT based game, right? So what did Warren Buffett say, guys? Warren Buffett said, buy when there is blood in the streets. Buy when there is blood in the streets. So the NFT market has been absolutely fucking decimated. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But generally speaking, I've been in crypto for 7 years now. Generally speaking, when everyone thinks that something is a scam, when everyone thinks the market is dead, when everyone thinks something is going to zero, when everyone thinks it is the end of the road in crypto, that's usually the time to buy. Like Warren Buffett said, buy when there is blood in the streets. So NFTs in 2022 and 2023 have been absolutely fucking decimated. Fucking decimated, right? Decimated. Absolutely fucking decimated. Now may not be a bad time to start learning about them. How much did Bored Apes sell for in the 2022 bull run? How much was the top one, right? I think the most expensive Bored Ape that ever sold, I'm pretty sure is 3.5 million. Pretty sure it was 3.5 million. Right, I'm pretty sure it was 3.5 million, but I mean even this one in Forbes. Where are we? Okay, so there we go. So a Bored Ape sold for, when it loads up, if it loads up. So Forbes is saying that one Bored Ape sold for 1.17 million, right? So let me just, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but let me just hit you with this, right? Financial markets are cyclical. I don't know if the NFT market is ever going to come back. I'm pretty sure the crypto market is. I'm pretty sure we're already in the next crypto bull run at the very early stages, because the halvening is coming up in less than a year, in April/May 2024. If you don't know what the halvening is, look into it, right? All I'm saying is, I'm pretty sure a Bored Ape sold for 3.5 million, even though, I need to Google it, right? Bored Ape 3.5 million. It's going to drive me crazy. Yes, there we go. Okay, so the record for a Bored Ape was 3.4 million. I knew one sold for about that, right? So this Bored Ape sold for 3.4 million. Financial markets are cyclical, right? So in the last bear market, which was 2020/2021, when Bored Apes were first minted, they each sold for $400 and were available to buy online for 2 weeks. No one wanted them. They just sat around for $400. No one gave a fuck about Bored Apes or NFTs, right? Totally dead market, which is basically exactly what we've got today in 2023. It's the pits of the bear market. Everyone thinks NFTs are a scam. They're never coming back. They're a waste of money. All that kind of shit, right? Crypto's a scam. NFTs a scam. NFTs are dead. Blah, blah, blah. That's all you see online. Well, that's what they were saying back in 2021 as well. And so imagine if you had a time machine and you could go back in time and you could buy a Bored Ape for $400. Like, wouldn't you do that? Well, the thing is, we're in a bear market now, right? The next Bored Ape is probably out there. So if you start learning about NFTs now in the pits of this bear market, maybe you pick up the next Bored Ape. Maybe you spend $400 and make $1 million. Who knows? So yeah, these are NFT games that I'm playing because I'm playing in the pits of a bear market, man. What do they say? What's the quote? Millionaires are made in bear markets. That is the quote. Millionaires are made in bear markets, and so that is why I'm trying to build now. We'll get these back over there. Anyway, sorry to derail the bloody stream with NFT crypto talk. It's just something I'm passionate about, man. Hey Hugo Boss, hey Long Lizard, hey Cyfix, hope you're doing good, guys. Let's change this camera back over. There we go. Yeah, I agree, Mimi. I think Pedro Munoz got a great chance of beating Marlon Vera. So I can say this. So Zion Perry is saying I use my wife's account. I would definitely not recommend doing that. Little cheat code for you guys, right? Betting sites basically profile every single person that opens up a betting account. So anything that seems unusual to them could get the account flagged for review. So if you think about the demographic of sports betting, I don't want to get cancelled, but if we're being realistic, not many females bet on sports, right? My wife is 33, 34 years old. There's not going to be many 33, 34-year-old women in the UK staying up till like 5 a.m, 6 a.m. in the morning to live bet UFC. So I'm not able to use my wife's account because if I did, she would instantly get shut down. In fact, she has been shut down. Let me show you guys if I can find the actual post. Check this out, guys. I'll go to my wife's Twitter right now. Check this out. Check this out. So a few years ago... Oh, she's actually retweeted me. How kind. Anyway, a few years ago, my wife opened up an account on Bet365, which is the biggest betting site in the world. And before she had a chance to place a bet, she got shut down. Let me show you. Where is it? It was quite a long time ago. Here we go. Check it. Check this out. So this is the wifey. And she opened an account with Bet365, which is the biggest online betting site in the world. I know it's not available in the US, but it's massive in Canada, Australia, Europe. And literally within 15 minutes of her opening the account, before she even had a chance to place a bet, they closed the account down. They sent her these emails, basically shutting her down. This one. Following a review of your account by our trading team, we regret to inform you that whilst our online service remains available to you, betting restrictions will be applied on any future bets placed. So what that basically means is the most you could bet on anything at Bet365 was like $1. So when they say betting restrictions will be applied, it basically means they lower your max bet limit to like $1. So they don't actually go out and close your account, but they make it impossible to earn money on the account because you can only bet $1. That's how they do it. So her account got closed down in less than 15 minutes. So I can't talk a lot about how to create new accounts, things like that. But what I can say is don't use females for any betting accounts because you will get shut down really quick. Because it's so rare that the females would bet sports like till bloody 5 a.m, 6 a.m. in the morning. So when you do it, you stand out and you get your account flagged really quickly. Oh, nice one, Afraid to Gamble. Thanks a lot, mate. I don't think we're going to have any Lucindu type bets this weekend. But you never know, man. I haven't found anything I like yet. Mimi, I don't bet tennis now. No, only football and the UFC. That's all I bet. Steve M is betting on Sean O'Malley. Joe Blaylock, good afternoon. Hey, Joe Blaylock, hope you're doing good, mate. Game Over is asking what site I use to live bet the UFC. So basically, mate, I get accounts shut down very quickly. So what I do is I've got a list of about 60 to 70 betting websites globally that I can open up accounts on. So what I tend to do is I don't use any specific site for live betting. At any one time, I've got 8 to 10 accounts out of the 70 account or 70 betting sites that I rotate through. So what I will do is I have 10 betting accounts on a mixture of those 70 sites, and then when one of those betting accounts get closed down, I'll get another account from one of those 70 sites. So I work through like a huge range of betting sites because I go through accounts really quickly because of how fast they shut you down. So I've got a massive list. I'm actually eventually going to post that list on the website, so if you're looking for sites, they'll all be on there, but I just haven't had time to do it at the moment. So what are some interesting NFT projects? So, not financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but if I were to recommend one NFT project for the next bull market to learn about, and I might actually do a video on this, man. I might do a video this week because I've got a bit of free time. I was thinking of doing a video, I just didn't think anyone would care. But so I do think that there's like one clear candidate to become the next Bored Ape if NFTs do ever have another bull market again, and it's basically something called 10KTF, which stands for 10,000 True Friends. So this NFT project is developed by the same people that develop Bored Apes as Yuga Labs. You can see the little Y icon here, Yuga Labs, right? Learn about it, man. 10KTF. So I'm a holder of quite a few 10KTF NFTs. I'll drop the link in YouTube. Not sponsored or anything like that. I don't get paid a damn thing for recommending 10KTF, but I think 10KTF has got more potential than any other NFT project I've seen on the planet. So if you're interested in, you know, some NFTs for the next bull run, I would look into 10KTF. It's a little bit complicated, so I might do a video on it explaining it all, but I think 10KTF could be huge, man. So check it out. All right, now let's get into this second round. It's been a while. Let's get into round two. Round two, O'Malley Yan. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go. Yeah, let me know, guys, in the comments if you want me to do some NFT videos, because what you find in this world, right? So I've been in crypto since 2016. What you find is everybody wants to start talking about crypto and making content on crypto, watching content on crypto when crypto's pumping, right? When NFT's pumping. Everyone cares about crypto and NFTs when the prices are pumping. But no one wants to talk about crypto and NFTs in the pits of a bear market because it's boring. Everyone's losing money, nothing happens, right? But now is the time. You know what I mean? How many stories do you hear during a bull market of someone that bought a bag of bloody NFTs or a bag of shitcoins in the depths of a bear market, and then they earned millions when those shitcoins, NFTs ran in the bull market? And you always think, man, I wish I would have been that fucking guy. I wish I would have known. That's the biggest bullshit you can tell yourself. I wish I would have known. Everyone fucking knows these markets are cyclical, right? They alternate through cycles of bear markets and bull markets. So you know, the biggest bullshit you can tell yourself is, I wish I would have known. Like, we're in a bear market now, motherfucker. Like, when do you think the best time to buy is? It's like bear market. Everyone knows this. Stock market, crypto, doesn't make a difference. Bear markets are when you buy. Bull markets are when you make the money. So, yeah, man, it's one of those things where now that's why I'm like balls deep in it now, because I know if I, balls deep in it now, when the bull market comes next, and I have all these bags, which will hopefully do well, will hopefully pump. So anyway, this is a good round for Peter Yan. He obviously wobbled Sean O'Malley early in this round, got the takedown. O'Malley's been able to scramble back up to his feet now. O'Malley's got that underhook on the right side, which means Yan realizes he's not going to get the takedown, so they go back to the middle of the octagon. So I go first round Sean O'Malley here. Beautiful outside trip there from Yan. Very impressive, because it's been relatively difficult to upset O'Malley's balance because of how good his footwork is. And then you see Yan hit a beautiful outside trip. What's interesting is after this grappling, we're seeing Sean O'Malley take some big deep breaths here early in this second round. So this is a difficult round for O'Malley. He's looking a little bit tired. He's struggling to back Yan up with his footwork and movement in this round. And because we know Yan gets more aggressive as fights wear on, you can see him throwing much more volume now. And because O'Malley is slowed a bit from the grappling, you're seeing Yan outstrike O'Malley by a decent margin here. So this is a big round for Yan. Starting to see O'Malley rack up some volume again now, but his footwork is noticeably flatter than it was in round one. What I'm noticing now though is Peter Yan is getting takedowns relatively easily. He's shot a couple of double legs in this round and O'Malley's giving them up very easily. And look at how heavy O'Malley is breathing on the bottom. O'Malley taking big deep breaths here. Really, really big deep breaths. I'm not liking what I'm seeing from O'Malley, because what we usually see is Sterling slow down as fights wear on, and then guys that have got better cardio than Sterling kind of take over in the second half of the fight. There's only been a bit of grappling in this fight, and we're seeing O'Malley taking huge deep breaths on the ground. You can see that this grappling has really worn Sean O'Malley out. I don't remember that happening in this fight, actually. That's a bit of a shocker to me, how tired O'Malley's looking here. So big round two from Yan. I've got this 1 round apiece heading into the third. Let me know how you guys score it. So sync up round 3 for me now, which starts at 14 minutes and 25 seconds on Fight Pass. That's 14 minutes and 25 seconds on Fight Pass. Sync it up, guys. Sync it up. Sync it up. Yeah, VPNs don't work with Bet365. You could potentially do it by changing your basically if you Google this, right, there's something called a proxy IP. I'll type it out for you just in case my accent is difficult to understand. So you can access the Bet365 site by using something called a proxy IP in your web browser, which is essentially like using a VPN, except you don't use it with software. You just change your IP number in your browser. So you can do it using proxy IPs. Taz, I didn't see that breakdown video. A few people have mentioned O'Malley grabbing the cage. I haven't seen it yet. We're just about to go into the third round, and we haven't seen any cage grabs from O'Malley yet. So maybe it happens in the third round. The reality filter is saying O'Malley will never lose a judge's decision. I guess that's because obviously there's that theory that judges favour the fighter winning that would be more beneficial from the UFC. I know MMA Guru did a fucking amazing video on this. For anyone, I need to link this because it's such a good piece of work. Guru did an amazing job. Let me see if I can find Guru's video, man. Where's the Guru? Guru. Let me find this. So he did an amazing video on MMA judging. I need to link you guys to it because it's an eye opener. It's something that I've felt for a long time. Like, it's a trend that I guess many people who watch the UFC every week have noticed. But Guru did a really good job of laying it all out in a way that is very, very difficult to deny. So this is the link. Check out Guru's video, man. Guy's a fucking legend for doing this. And yeah, if you haven't watched this video by MMA Guru, you need to see it. So yeah, it goes back to what this video kind of highlights the point that the reality filter is trying to make. Not trying to make, actually making it. Making the point, right, that judges love to side with fighters who would be more beneficial for the UFC if they won, and O'Malley is obviously a big cash cow for the UFC. So yeah, if this fight is anything that resembles close and it goes to a decision, probably not going to be that easy for Aljamain to win a decision, because obviously Dana would much prefer O'Malley to win. So Subject Southpaw is saying that O'Malley practices deep breathing, so when he was on the ground taking those big deep breaths, it could be that he was doing. That's a good point, Southpaw. It'd be interesting to see O'Malley's footwork and movement now in this third round. However, the only thing that I would say to rebuttal that is O'Malley's footwork was noticeably flatter in that second round than it was in the first. So I do actually think O'Malley was getting tired. Joey McBride scored this fight for O'Malley live. I've got it 1 round apiece now. Hey Crocs, hope you're doing good, mate. Crocs, hit me up in the Discord and we can talk about proxy IPs in a bit more detail. It's a little bit nuanced, and if we do it here, the stream will just get sidetracked, man. So hit me up on Discord, dude. Put it in on Discord. Put it in the put it in the betting sites Discord. And I'll get back to you later on, man. Nice one, Crocs, mate. Hope you're doing good. Yeah, that Kaikar France Albazi decision was a bad one, Luis, mate. The Comico is asking about the Swanson decision. Jesus, mate. So, Comico had a 12-leg parlay where he would have won $1,500, and the only fight he lost on the 12-fight parlay was the fucking Cub Swanson decision. Mate, I feel so bad for you. It was such a bad decision. I had that 29-28 Dawodu clear. I feel so bad for you, mate. It was a disgraceful decision. So bad. I saw a tweet where someone was like, there's no way the judges could have scored that fight for Dawodu after seeing Swanson's kids cage side. It's a fair point, right? It's a fair point. I mean, something must have influenced them, because it was a wild decision. It was crazy. Right, let's get into this third round now, guys. Let's get going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So we got some things to look out for here. I've got it 1 round apiece. We're looking at the footwork, the movement, the breathing patterns, the body language of O'Malley to try and gauge how tired he actually is here. A few people have also mentioned cage grabs, so we've got to keep an eye on them. There haven't been any cage grabs in the first 2 rounds, so we'll see if the cage grabs that people are talking about are in this third. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So pretty clear 1 round apiece in my opinion. You could kind of make a case for Yan winning the first, but I don't think it would be the correct score. I'm pretty, pretty comfortable scoring the first round for O'Malley after we've watched it back in the cold light of day here. So whoever takes this third round should take the fight. I guess the only clear round of the fight was the second. Yan outstruck O'Malley, wobbled him early in the round, and obviously had the grappling control as well. O'Malley didn't really achieve anything in round 2. So round 2 was a big one for Yan. So what we're seeing here is O'Malley actually take the fight to the centre of the octagon again. He's been pressured and on the back foot for most of the fight, but now we're actually seeing O'Malley as the aggressor. He's leading the dance. He's come out into the middle of the octagon. He's taking the fight to Yan. Beautiful double leg there from Yan. Going to a single leg now. Didn't really fully commit to it though. I was expecting to see an inside trip there on the other leg, but he didn't go for it, and now O'Malley punishing him for that takedown attempt. So who actually said about the breathing exercises? It was Subject Southpaw, right? Yeah, I think Subject Southpaw is right. He said that O'Malley works on breathing exercises, and that's what he could have been doing on the ground. And I think Subject Southpaw is absolutely right, because O'Malley is looking sharp as fuck here. O'Malley looks great in this third round. So it looks like he wasn't actually getting tired at all. He was just doing his breathing exercises. So again, nice one, Subject Southpaw, mate, dropping major knowledge. There's no way I would have known that. And yeah, O'Malley's looking great here in round 3. So this is a big third round for O'Malley so far. He's inflicted a good amount of damage on Yan, completely neutralised the threat of Yan's wrestling, and he's outstruck him by a wide margin. But then he gives up a cheap takedown. So O'Malley has given up so many cheap takedowns in this fight, which concerns me because Aljamain Sterling is obviously a much better offensive wrestler than Yan. He's also a much higher level than Yan. We know Aljamain has got some of the slickest back takes in MMA. You can see O'Malley exposing his back here. A lot of people have mentioned cage grabs. I haven't seen any in this fight. Haven't seen any cage grabs in this fight. So I'm not sure what that's all about. So this is a good round for O'Malley. He's outstruck Yan by... Oh, wow, big left hand though from Yan. O'Malley's outstruck Yan by a wide margin. Inflicted a lot of damage. So there are a couple of cage grabs there. Yeah, there's cage grabs there. Yeah, there's 3 cage grabs there for sure. There are 3 cage grabs there for sure. Those are the first ones I've seen in the fight. This is a good round for O'Malley in my opinion. He's outstruck Yan. He's done a lot more damage. Yan hasn't really achieved anything with the grappling. Yeah, I think this... So Yan gets the takedown there. Watching this fight in the cold light of day, I think I agree with the decision. Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good decision. I know this was a really controversial decision after the fight, but watching it back live, I think that's 29-28 pretty clear for O'Malley. He outstruck Yan by a decent margin in the first round. Yan didn't achieve anything with that 30-40 seconds of grappling control he had. Round 2 was a big round for Yan. And then I go round 3 O'Malley because, again, Yan didn't achieve anything with the takedowns. He got wobbled early in the round, outstruck by a decent margin, and O'Malley inflicted a lot of damage in round 3. You know, you see that cut above the right eye of Yan. So I actually think, even though at the time this was a controversial decision, I think the judges got it right. I think this is 29-28 O'Malley. Let me know what you think, though, guys. Let me know. Let me know. Oh, what's up, Dober? Hope you're doing good, Dober, mate. Hope you're doing good. Alright, let's get into the next one now. I think we should watch Sterling versus Cejudo. You know what? We might not actually have to watch much footage on Sterling because I feel like the Cejudo fight shows us so much. It shows us his wrestling, his grappling control, his cardio, his chin, his striking. I feel like the Cejudo fight is a good one to see like Sterling's full range of skills. So this is a really good one to watch. So sync this one up, guys. I'll drop the link into YouTube and Twitch. Check it out, guys. Sync it up for me. Sync up the first round. I remember thinking when I watched this live, the Sterling looked a lot better than I thought he would. He gave Cejudo hell. Now I know Cejudo was coming back after a long layoff. You got the size difference, but I was very impressed by Sterling in this fight. So here's the ESPN Plus link as well. Sigma Trillionaire Guess is saying the Cejudo fight highlights so many holes in Sterling's game. And Dober is saying Sandhagen's a good one to watch because he's got the same body type as O'Malley. It's a good point, man. Although I can't help but feel that that was one of those situations where Sandhagen got caught cold and trapped in a bad position. Anyway, let's get this first round going. Sterling Cejudo. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So after watching Yan versus O'Malley, O'Malley's like a tricky one because there's a lot of stuff I do like about him on the ground, but then the fact he gave up 2 or 3 really cheap takedowns in that fight concerns me a lot, because Sterling is obviously a much better offensive wrestler than Yan, much better grappling control, and if you're giving up cheap takedowns against someone like Yan, you know, we've seen Aljamain Sterling have success with his wrestling against Henry Cejudo, right, who's a former Olympian. So that doesn't make me feel good. Another thing that I didn't like so much about O'Malley's performance against Yan was that in those sequences where O'Malley would be able to scramble back up to his feet, for the most part that was happening because Yan was posturing up to land ground and pound and gave O'Malley the space to scramble. With Aljamain Sterling, one of his biggest strengths on the ground is his crushing grappling control. Like, he literally gives you no space. You know, once he's got a hold of you, it's extremely difficult to scramble back up to your feet. He sticks to you like glue. So O'Malley's not going to get the same opportunities to scramble back up to his feet that he did against Peter Yan. And because he gets taken down so easily based on that Yan fight, you could see a situation where Aljamain is able to get easy takedowns in every round, obtain a dominant position, and just control O'Malley for the whole round by not giving him any space. Kind of similar to what he did with Peter Yan in the second fight. I know that that was a little bit different because obviously, you know, Sterling was able to get Yan's back, and that's how he was able to rack up these long periods of grappling control. But the thing is, Peter Yan is a lot more difficult to take down, hold down, and obtain dominant positions on than O'Malley is, predominantly because of the body type, right? Jan, I think, is like 5'7". He's also got that small, muscular, compact frame, better balance. O'Malley with that long, lean, lanky frame should make it even easier to control him on the ground than it was Jan. So, to be fair, obviously we haven't watched much footage on Sterling yet, but this is looking like a really, really difficult fight for Sean O'Malley. What I'm looking for here, though, is how does Sterling look into the 3rd, 4th and 5th round? Because what impressed me about O'Malley in the 3rd round against Jan was, even though that fight was contested at a really high pace, O'Malley looked great in that 3rd round. He looked very fresh, he was moving well, very sharp. And so if Aljamain looks a little bit slow and flat here in the 3rd, that obviously presents the possibility that O'Malley could take over in the 2nd half of the fight. But I gotta be honest, based on what I saw from O'Malley and how strong of an offensive wrestler we know Sterling is, I do think O'Malley's probably going to struggle pretty bad early in this one, even though his footwork and movement is great. But then it really depends on Aljamain Sterling's pacing, because he may not choose to grapple that much early. He may choose to start slow and then really commit hard to his grappling later in the fight. Like we saw Sterling in the 2nd Peter Yan fight kind of take rounds off, take minutes off at a time to pace himself. So we know a lot of the good work that Aljamain does is from the body lock. We've seen him get this body lock takedown here. You don't actually see Aljamain shoot a lot of traditional single and double leg takedowns. Most of his takedowns do come from trips and throws off the body lock, and that's what you can see he has here. I also thought it was pretty cool that Aljamain has said it's Merab's time to shine, where he said this is going to be his last fight at bantamweight. I love that. Obviously he tried to like play it down a little bit by saying he's sick of the weight cut, but I just think it's really cool, like how they're friends, and similar to with like Khabib and Makhachev, Aljamain is kind of stepping to the side and like allowing his friend to have that time to shine as well. I just think that's really cool, like a cool thing to do. So let's get round 2 going now. Round 2 starts at 10 minutes and 17 seconds. That's 10 minutes and 17 seconds. Let's get going, guys. 10 minutes and 17 seconds. Sync it up. Sync it up. And speaking of Bitcoin earlier on in the stream, guys, for anyone interested, I do think Bitcoin in the next few hours is going to dip down to 29,000 minimum, potentially 28,005. So for anyone into Bitcoin while you're syncing up round 2, I think pretty good chance that you'll see Bitcoin come down 29,000 minimum, which would be here. I'll actually draw a line for that while we're here. Change the color as well. And possibly even 28,005 is on the cards. But I'd be amazed if we went any lower than 28,005. I'd be amazed. But a little dip here, down to 29,000 quite likely. Just for anyone that cares, like a weather forecast. Alright, let's get into this next round. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, go, go. So, the first round, Sterling having a lot of success off that body lock. It actually surprised me how much success he had with it. Because he didn't really commit to takedowns. Cejudo kind of just gave him up. But maybe that just shows the physicality that Sterling has got with his grappling. I think it's pretty clear that Sterling is going to get lit up on the feet. I mean, Peter Yan was struggling with the footwork, the movement, the accuracy, the technique of O'Malley. So when you've got someone like Peter Yan struggling to read O'Malley and deal with the footwork and movement, you know someone like Aljamain Sterling is really going to struggle. Take nothing away from Sterling's striking. He's very tricky, he's very awkward, he does fight long. Does a good job of using his length to chip away at you, but I think O'Malley's striking's on a whole nother level. So double leg entry there from Cejudo, gets nowhere near it. Sterling's style of striking is so unusual. Notice how he kind of walks towards you, switching stances. Like, it's so rare that you see that. Like, I can't actually think of any other fighter in the UFC that does that. When Sterling comes forward, as he walks forward, he switches stances to throw different kicks. It's really unusual. It's not going to cause O'Malley a problem, right? I don't think Sterling's going to get near O'Malley with his striking. O'Malley's footwork and movement is too good. But it's just interesting to watch this from Sterling. It's very rare. I can't think of anyone I've ever seen throw kicks like this. You would think, though, that it would be quite easy to read, because when he comes forward, the stance switch kind of telegraphs the kick that he's going to throw. Because when he walks forward, when his body shifts southpaw, you know that a power kick is coming from the left power kicking leg, and vice versa with orthodox. So it is a weird thing that Sterling does, man. Because when he comes forward switching stances, he's basically sending a signal to his opponent what's coming and that they should back up, and they know from which side the strike is coming to block. So it's a very weird thing Sterling does. I'm not sure why he does it, if I'm honest. But he's the fucking champ. I'm just the fucking dickhead that sits in his pants watching cage fighting all day. Who am I to question Sterling, right? But it's just very unusual. You know, you think about the greatest kickers in the sport. The thing that makes them so devastating is their speed and how well they can disguise the kicks. You look at like a Justin Gaethje's leg kicks, or an Edson Barboza, or a Jose Aldo, and Israel Adesanya. These guys are so devastating with their kicks because you never know what's coming. Sterling, not the case. So I think what this fight has showed us is that on the feet, Sterling's in a lot of trouble. I think O'Malley is going to outclass him on the feet. I know that's like an obvious thing to say, but when you actually look at the footage and you see it in the cold light of day, you can be absolutely sure then to make that statement, right? Instead of working from hazy memories. So Sterling took that round off with no grappling, probably to pace himself, probably to conserve energy because grappling's exhausting. Round 2 was relatively close. Sterling outstruck Cejudo in my opinion. So Sterling should be up 2 rounds here. But let's get into this third round, which starts at 16 minutes and 29 seconds. Sync it up, guys. 16 minutes 29. The reality filter is saying Sterling will take O'Malley down, take his back, and that'll be it. Nice one, Tim, mate. So Londo is predicting that O'Malley will head kick KO Sterling. Dober is saying O'Malley makes great reads. If he finds patterns, Sterling will get his head kicked off. Alright, let's get into this third round. Get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I've got to be honest, man. I've got to be honest. It is really notable to me how we know Henry Cejudo and Peter Yan are amazing defensive wrestlers. Like, both Cejudo and Yan have got really good takedown defense. They're difficult to hold down. They're extremely high-level MMA grapplers. What concerns me is how easily Sterling was able to obtain dominant positions on Yan and Cejudo at times. And how easily Yan was able to take O'Malley down with, 2 or 3 of those double legs. There's a whole different ball game having someone like Peter Yan on top of you compared to someone like O'Malley. I mean, let's even go one step further, right? I know that TJ Dillashaw dislocated his shoulder against Sterling, but if we're being realistic, Sterling absolutely fucking mauled him on the ground. Like, there was no space for Dillashaw on the ground at all. We know that Dillashaw is a lifelong wrestler, extremely scrambly, amazing takedown defense, and yet we've seen Sterling out-grapple TJ Dillashaw, who's one of the best MMA grapplers in the history of the bantamweight division. He's out-grappled Cejudo, who's a former Olympic-level wrestler, or Olympic gold medalist at wrestling, right? And he's out-grappled Peter Yan, who we know has got amazing takedown defense and he's very difficult to control. So it's one of those things where it is a really difficult fight for O'Malley. I just don't think there's any other way to dress it up. You can see Aljamain in on a body lock now. Again, most of his takedowns come from the body lock position. I think it's because Aljamain has got abnormally long arms for his height. So if you think about it, I think Aljamain is... Yeah, Aljamain's 5'7". O'Malley is 5'11". Yet they've almost got the same reach. So I think one thing that makes Aljamain so dangerous from these clinch positions when he's got the body lock is that with his longer arms he can generate so much leverage and get such tight control around someone's body that he wouldn't be able to get if his arms were shorter. And like, if you've read Fightnomics, there's a whole chapter on how they basically looked at the wingspans of all dominant UFC champions, and an interesting trend they found is that a lot of dominant UFC champions have abnormally long wingspans for the division. So if you look at like GSP, he had an abnormally long wingspan. John Jones has got one. There's loads of examples. I even think like Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture had abnormally long wingspans for their height. It makes a big difference. Beautiful double leg there from Sterling, but Cejudo does a great job of sprawling out of it. So we're in this third round now. This fight's been contested at a reasonably high pace. Not like a crazy high pace, but Sterling's been forced to burn through a lot of energy in this fight. Be interesting to see what the footwork and movement of Sterling likes into this second and third round. Sorry, 4th and 5th round. So what's interesting about this fight is the Sterling's cardio looks great. Doesn't look like he's slowed at all to me in this 3rd round. There have been situations in other Sterling fights where he's looked very flat in the 3rd. But he looks great here. Beautiful body lock trip there from Cejudo. But it'll be interesting to see how Sterling looks in the 4th and 5th. So let's get round 4 scheduled up now. Let's get round 4 going. Let's go, let's go. So round 4 starts in 22 minutes and 40 seconds. That's 22 minutes and 40 seconds. Sync it up, guys. 22 minutes and 40 seconds. Alright, let's get this next one going. Sync it up, get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So what I'm looking for in this round is the footwork, the movement, the body language, the breathing patterns of Sterling. Still looks very good in this 4th to me. What's interesting is we haven't really seen him fully commit to his grappling. Cejudo's given up a few, 1 or 2 really cheap body lock takedowns, but outside of that, we haven't seen Sterling like properly commit hard to his grappling like he did in the Dillashaw fight, where he really committed to those body lock takedowns. In this fight, he's kind of been a bit laboured with it, but I think that's because he knows it would be very difficult to overwhelm Cejudo and get him out of there, so he's fought at a much slower pace and paced himself instead of committing really hard to that grappling, which we know does slow him down at times. Cejudo looking for another one of those inside trips he hit towards the end of round 3. I mean, look at that. Look, even though Cejudo has got the underhook on the left side, Sterling's arms are long enough to still get the body lock. It's kind of crazy. So I wouldn't say that Sterling has slowed in this round, but he's less effective because Cejudo's picked the pace up and he's gone more aggressive. I think Cejudo has just started to find his range now. You know what I will say that we've seen in this fight though? And a lot of this is to do with Henry. But what we are seeing is Sterling shoot a lot of takedowns. Henry see them coming from a mile away and kind of sprawl out of them. But that's with Henry stood right in front of Sterling. Like, with how good O'Malley's footwork and movement is, it will be difficult for Sterling to time those takedowns. I wouldn't be surprised if O'Malley catches Sterling with something like a crazy flying knee or something as Sterling shoots in. Because you know O'Malley's got the balls to try it. He's not going to be intimidated by Sterling's grappling. But with how Sterling kind of overcommits for these takedowns and shoots from very far outside of range, for someone like O'Malley that is really good at reading his opponents, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a Ben Askren, Jorge Masvidal type knockout in this one. Because I don't think Sterling's going to be able to get near O'Malley on the feet. So when Sterling does come forward, O'Malley is going to know exactly what to expect. It's in the clinch that O'Malley's going to have a problem if Sterling gets that body lock. Yeah, I agree, Danny, mate. I agree, mate. I do agree, Danny. Danny's just saying that Sterling's takedown attempts from distance are just very telegraphed. They're quite laboured. They're just not that effective. It's only in the clinch that Sterling is effective with his grappling. The thing with Sterling, though, is he's one of these guys that might not be the best offensive wrestler, but if he gets you down and grabs a hold of you, it's like a death sentence because you can't get the guy off. He sticks to you like glue. That's the problem with Sterling. It's like there's very little room for error with him because of how good his grappling control is. Hey, what's up, Positive Teammate? Positive Teammates rolling the dice on O'Malley this weekend and then passing on everything else. Said this card seems bad for betting. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, man. We had the nice winner on Lucindu last weekend, but I don't think we're going to get a gift as strong as that this week. I haven't placed any bets yet. There's nothing that I like yet. Hopefully we'll dig something up, but at the moment, doesn't look that likely. So many big favourites on this card. Danny Harwood is saying he's got a feeling it's going to be knees and elbows if Sterling's plan is to grapple. And he's also saying maybe Sterling will attack the legs of O'Malley with leg kicks to make it easier to take him down. I don't know, man. I think he'll try. Obviously, Sterling likes to throw a lot of leg kicks, but O'Malley's footwork and movement is so good. I don't even know if Sterling's going to be able to get close enough to O'Malley to do that without getting picked off. Really impressed by O'Malley's footwork and movement. So let's get into this fifth round now. Starts at 28 minutes 55 seconds. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, go, go. So we saw Cejudo noticeably pick the pace up in round 4. He's coming out aggressive here in round 5, but Sterling hasn't slowed at all. Like I say, there have been situations in the past where Sterling's cardio hasn't looked great, but he looks just as sharp in this round as he did in the first. He hasn't slowed a bit, and the fight's been contested at a decent pace as well.
Okay, I found this on the web for on a Thursday.
And you'd think that you'd think he wouldn't have to exert as much energy grappling against O'Malley. You'd think he'd be able to get easier to take down and control than Cejudo is. So what I really want to do is look at the second fight between Sterling and Peter Yan to see how he obtained back control on Yan so many times. What his offensive wrestling looked like in that fight. I don't feel like I need to watch too much more footage on O'Malley, because I feel his fight against Peter Yan showed us that he's going to have a massive advantage when it comes to striking. And the Peter Yan fight was pretty much the only fight O'Malley's had in the UFC where his grappling was tested. So there's no other fight we could watch for O'Malley, which will help us learn more on his takedown defense and ground game. Like, O'Malley's been quite lucky in that he's avoided fighting a lot of grapplers. So it's lucky he did fight Peter Yan, or coming into this matchup against Sterling, we'd have no idea what his takedown defense and ground game looked like. So that Peter Yan fight was great for giving us all the information we needed on O'Malley. But obviously Sterling's offensive wrestling has looked very flat in this fight. So it'll be interesting to see how he had so much success with it in the Yan rematch. And then with O'Malley's takedown defense and ground game fresh in our mind, that was a really good double leg from Sterling. With O'Malley's takedown defense and ground game fresh in our mind from the Yan fight, based on how Sterling looks against Yan, we should be able to work out how much success O'Malley's likely to have neutralising the threat of Sterling's wrestling. As I do agree with a few of you guys, Sterling's looked pretty flat with his grappling in this matchup, shooting takedowns from way too far outside the Cejudo's range. And if he doesn't get the takedowns off the body lock, his double legs aren't that effective, which is interesting because it was the double legs that Yan was having success with. Yan wasn't having that much success taking O'Malley down from the clinch. All of his takedowns were coming down or coming from the double leg position. But perhaps Aljamain just doesn't feel like he can get it on someone with a defensive wrestling of Cejudo. And that's why he's sticking with the body lock. Maybe he will be more persistent with the double legs against O'Malley, because he knows that's going to be the easiest way to get O'Malley down, based on O'Malley's fight against Yan. Alright guys, let's get into the Peter Yan versus Aljamain Sterling fight now, the rematch. And let's see how Sterling obtained dominant positions in this one. Because Yan is obviously a better defensive wrestler than O'Malley. Hey Mo, hope you're doing good, Mo. Hope you're doing good. We did look into the cage grabs, mate. They only really came into effect in the third round though. They didn't really change what happened in the first and second. So, this is the ESPN Plus link I'm dropping in now. So O'Malley, Pablo is saying that O'Malley also has a hard weight cut, but Sterling has a tough weight cut as well. Sterling has literally said that one of the reasons why he's moving up to featherweight after this fight is because the weight cut to bantamweight is getting too difficult for him. So I think, you know, both guys have a pretty bad weight cut. You know what, Joey? Without knowing more about O'Malley's submission defense, I think it's very difficult to bet the under in this one, because if O'Malley has got good submission defense, you could see this go into a decision, you know, a decent percentage of the time, with the fact that, you know, if Sterling uses a lot of grappling, O'Malley's not going to get much of an opportunity to knock Sterling out. But if O'Malley is skilled enough to defend himself on the ground, not that much chance that Sterling will get a submission. He'll likely just favour grappling control. So I don't love the over or the under on this one. So let's get this Sterling Yan fight going, guys. It starts at 2 minutes and 56 seconds on Fight Pass. That's 2 minutes 56 seconds on Fight Pass. Let's get it going. 2 minutes 56. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So what I'm really looking for here is how does Sterling obtain these dominant positions? Because his offensive wrestling against Cejudo didn't look great. So what I'm looking for is the technique, the physicality of Sterling, his entries, so we can then visualize based on O'Malley against Yan how likely it is Sterling will be able to get the fight to the ground and obtain dominant positions. So what's interesting about this fight is that Yan is the aggressor again, like we saw against O'Malley. That's interesting because if Sterling were to take Yan down from this range, obviously Yan is going to be taken down in the middle of the octagon, where he doesn't have the cage as a base to defend the takedown. He doesn't have the cage that he can use the wall walk. Sterling will almost certainly have to be the aggressor against O'Malley, because I think O'Malley's going to know that if Sterling gets him down in the middle of the octagon, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. O'Malley will need the cage to defend the takedowns and work his way back up to his feet. So even though Sterling doesn't usually like to be the aggressor, he likes to be in the middle of the octagon just chipping away at you, I think he is going to have to lead the dance and take the fight to O'Malley, because I think O'Malley is going to want to counter strike on the outside. I'd be surprised if we saw O'Malley out in the middle of the octagon, because he knows if he gets taken down in the middle of the octagon, the round is going to be a write-off. It's going to be very difficult for him to work his way back up to his feet, and we know O'Malley is very smart. So I wouldn't expect Sterling to be fighting in this range. And this is perhaps one mistake that Yan made. I don't know from what position Sterling gets the takedowns in this fight, but that could be one reason why Yan struggled a lot. We'll soon find out. So haven't really seen Sterling commit to any takedowns in this round, but one thing we know from the Cejudo fight is that he will take rounds off with no takedown attempts to conserve energy. So a minute and 30 left to go. This round's played out a lot like O'Malley versus Yan in the first round, where Yan's had a lot of forward pressure, but he hasn't really landed anything. There hasn't been much of an end product from Yan. Sterling's been pretty comfortable in there. But you can see that Sterling's striking is just nowhere near the level of O'Malley's. You can tell just by the way they move. Like on the feet, O'Malley is going to light Sterling up. You can see that. I don't think Sterling's going to be able to cause O'Malley any problems on the feet at all. Alright, that's the end of that round. Let's get into the next round. Round 2. So round 2 starts in 9 minutes and 9 seconds. That's 9 minutes and 9 seconds. Sync it up, guys. Let's sync it up. So Mimi is saying that Jan didn't have his whole corner for this fight. Alright. Let's get this next round going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So all I'm really interested in here is how does Sterling get the Jan's back? Because he gets the Jan's back, I'm sure 3 times in this fight. And Jan's takedown defense and ground game is a lot better than O'Malley's. So how does he do it? Sterling's takedown defense, Sterling's striking defense is obviously excellent. He uses his length really well. So when I say O'Malley is going to outclass him on the feet, it's not necessarily that Sterling's going to be in a lot of danger on the feet, because I do think he's good at defending himself, and I also think the risk of being taken down will make it really difficult for O'Malley to really sit down on his shots and inflict a lot of damage, like we saw in, for example, the Chris Coutinho fight. But it doesn't really matter how good Sterling is defensively. Just think technically O'Malley is going to be able to outstrike him by a comfortable margin. But Sterling's very opportunistic, right? He kind of caught a kick here. And as Jan tried to scramble out of it, he got to the body triangle. So very, very quick back take here. But the thing is, he got to the body triangle position because he mounted Jan extremely quickly. And Jan obviously gave his back up to defend against mount. So it's one of those lose-lose situations. Do you want to be mounted by Sterling, or do you want him on your back, right? It's not great wherever you choose. So Sterling just one of these guys that's very opportunistic. You make one little mistake and he's able to make you pay for it on the ground. You know what? I do somewhat agree with what the reality filter is saying. So O'Malley's run to the title does remind me a lot of Conor McGregor's. When you look at Conor McGregor's title run to featherweight when he beat Jose Aldo, he had a lot of fights in the UFC, but he never fought a grappler. The first grappler he faced was his #1 contender fight. Or actually, it might have been an interim title fight. I can't remember. But it was against Chad Mendes, right? And then the winner of that was to go on and face Jose Aldo. Even though Chad Mendes was a wrestler, Mendes stepped up to take that fight on like 1 or 2 weeks' notice. And Chad Mendes also had a broken foot. So for, Conor's entire title run, he never really fought a grappler until he ran into Khabib, and then we all saw what happened there. And the same could be said about O'Malley, even though we saw his wrestling tested a bit in the Peter Yan fight. Peter Yan's obviously not a wrestler, so Similar to when Conor fought Khabib, and that was the first time Conor had faced a really high-level elite MMA grappler. This weekend is the first time that O'Malley has fought a really elite high-level MMA grappler as well. So there are a lot of similarities. Like, O'Malley has dodged grapplers in the same way Conor has. So it wouldn't surprise me if it is utter domination this weekend. If we kind of just learn that O'Malley isn't capable of hanging with an elite grappler like Sterling, and he just does get absolutely ragdolled and mauled. Like, I could absolutely see that happening. Like, it's a big jump to go from the guys that O'Malley has faced to now going in there with someone with the grappling control and the physicality on the ground that Sterling has got. I mean, look at what he did to Dillashaw. I know Dillashaw dislocated his shoulder, but he got absolutely mauled on the ground. So sync up round 2 for me, which starts at 15 minutes 23 seconds. 15 minutes 23. 15 minutes 23. Let's get this going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, let's go. So it was an opportunistic catch of a kick that enabled Sterling to get back control. So that was a nice deep takedown entry there. In on a single leg. Tried to transition to a body lock to upset Jan's balance. But Jan, good balance, strong hips, neutralised it. So Sterling's got deeper in on Jan's legs here than he did manage to get on Cejudo, but Jan, really good defensive wrestling. The question is whether O'Malley's got that kind of defensive wrestling with that long, lean frame, those skinny legs. Jan's got that lower centre of gravity. So in on another single leg, transitions to double. Yeah, man. Yeah. Double leg, back take, nightmare. Yes, that's kind of what I needed to see. If Sterling starts shooting takedowns like this on O'Malley, based on O'Malley's takedown defense against Jan, he's not going to be able to stop it. Because he gave up 3 really cheap double leg takedowns against Peter Yan. And Yan doesn't have the transitions of Sterling, the physicality of Sterling, the length of Sterling. This is a really difficult fight for Sean O'Malley, because this is in the 3rd round as well, where you'd expect Sterling to be slowing a little bit. He was put under a lot of pressure in round 1, forced to fight on the back foot. Alright, round 2 is contested at quite a slow pace. But he looks very fresh here in the 3rd, just like he did against Cejudo. And the thing with Aljamain is, you know who Aljamain reminds me of? Aljamain reminds me of Grant Dawson. Because if you look at Grant Dawson's not a particularly good offensive wrestler either. But if Dawson obtains a dominant position on the ground, it's literally a death sentence. You can't shake the guy off. Once he's got control of you, no matter how you try and defend yourself or what type of escape you try and pull off, he's always 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. Remember, like the Ismagulov fight. Every time Ismagulov would try and shrimp and scramble and create space for himself, Dawson would be 1 step ahead of him, ready to slam the door in his face. And this is what we see from Jan, right? Every time he tries to scramble or improve his position, Sterling is 1 step ahead of him to either neutralise that or put him in an even worse position. So it's a tough fight for O'Malley, man. It's a very tough fight. Like here you can see Jan's trying to turn into Sterling to break the body lock, but now Sterling is threatening to step over into mount. So no matter what you do to defend yourself, Sterling is ready to counter it. It's very, very tough for O'Malley, man. It's a tough fight. Because the thing is, right, a lot of people are saying O'Malley's going to knock Sterling out. That could happen for sure. The problem, though, is that in order to knock someone out, they've got to engage with you, right? It's very, very difficult to knock someone out that won't engage. You look at the first round of this fight. Jan's coming forward, taking control of the centre of the octagon, pressuring Sterling. And Sterling is circling away on the outside. He's not engaging. It's hard to knock someone out that is moving away from you. You either knock someone out in a big exchange or when they're coming forward and you can counter them and you can use their forward momentum against them. If someone's just circling away from you, not engaging, not exchanging, it's very, very difficult to knock them out. And Sterling isn't going to want to exchange with O'Malley. He's not going to want to engage with him. So the only way I could see O'Malley knocking Sterling out is if Sterling gets so tired to the point where he can't defend himself. Or if we get like a Jorge Masvidal, Ben Askren type flying knee knockout, if O'Malley catches him with like a flying knee or something as Sterling shoots one of those half-assed, lazy double leg takedown entries. I think that could happen. But I don't see O'Malley knocking Sterling out at distance. Because it's not even that likely that Sterling will slow down, right? His cardio's look good here. His cardio looked great in the Cejudo fight. So sync up this round 4 for me now. Londo is saying all signs point towards O'Malley winning on Saturday. He's been preparing for a year for this fight and his coaches have a game plan ready for Aljo. You know, Londo's got a good point. Look, the real problem with the way that I approach pre-fight betting is that ultimately we are trying to make decisions based on past performances, right? And the two big weaknesses to doing that, the first being fighters can make big improvements from previous fights, right? So we might be judging Sean O'Malley on weaknesses that don't exist anymore because he's improved them. So that's one issue with this method of using past fights to try and predict future outcomes. The second issue is both fighters can do exactly what we're doing now. So if you're Sean O'Malley, you can go watch Aljamain Sterling's past fights. You can see all of his strengths and weaknesses. You can come up with a game plan and strategy specifically tailored towards beating him, and Sterling can do the same to O'Malley. Essentially, fight research is like trying to play a game of heads-up poker when you can see your opponent's cards and they can see your cards, right? Sterling can see O'Malley's strengths and weaknesses. O'Malley can see Sterling's strengths and weaknesses. So, you know, Londo's right. That's where this fight does get interesting. That's where every fight gets interesting. Maybe O'Malley shows up having made improvements with a specific game plan and strategy to beat Sterling. The problem is, maybe Sterling shows up with improvements with a specific game plan and strategy to beat O'Malley. So it swings both ways. So it's interesting. It is very interesting. Interesting fight. So let's now get into the next round. Round 4. Get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's go, go, go. Let's go. So Sterling has been able to obtain back control twice in this fight in very different ways. The first time was by catching a kick, landing into Jan's mount and quickly scrambling to the back. The second was a good old-fashioned double leg takedown. Let's see how he gets to... I'm pretty sure he obtains back control one more time in this fight. It'd be interesting to see how he gets it. So he shoots a double leg there. into a single. Jan sprawls out of it. And positions like this are a weakness of Sterling, right? It's a vulnerable position to be on your knees in mixed martial arts. And we've seen Sterling in this position multiple times against both Jan and Cejudo. Be interesting to see if O'Malley has a game plan and strategy for that, because O'Malley will stuff takedowns. Like, his footwork and movement is good enough to stuff a lot of these takedown entries. So it'll be interesting to see the Londo's point. You know, what O'Malley does to Jan when he's in these positions. Does O'Malley go for a back take, right? I wouldn't rule it out. You know, O'Malley's got nice long legs. It's not impossible that he could get to that backpack position. Maybe beat Sterling at his own game. So Sterling in on a single, doesn't get it. So Sterling's definitely slowed a little bit here. You can see his hand speed is very slow. So he just grabs a hold of a single leg, goes to the back take. One deep hook in on the left side. Too high up though. And Jan sneaks out the back door. So now Jan on top of Sterling. Can't remember if Sterling obtained back control in the 4th or 5th. But I know he does get back control one more time. Midway point of round 4. Sterling's definitely slowed in this round, there's no doubt about it. So I'm keen to see how he does get the back control, because Jan hasn't slowed at all. You can see he's trying to turn his hips into attack with an armbar, but I would imagine Aljamain's only fishing for the armbar because he wants to create space to scramble back up to his feet. But Jan's doing a good job of staying heavy and tight to Sterling, so there's no way this armbar is gonna go anywhere. He's turning his hips in again. So a minute left to go in the round. Good round for Jan. So if Sterling doesn't obtain back control in this round, it means he must get it in the 5th. Rolling for a leg. Nowhere near it. You can see Sterling's definitely tired by this point. You know what, Augustine? I do agree with you, mate. I do think Merab is a far more difficult stylistic matchup for O'Malley than Sterling, just because Merab has got that persistence with his grappling. Like, Merab can just spam takedowns over and over and over and over and over and over and over again without slowing down. Whereas Sterling can't do that without fading, which is why he's got to pick his moments to shoot takedowns. So I do agree with you, Augustine, mate. Even if O'Malley does win this weekend, I don't think he's going to hold the belt very long, because Dvalishvili is a nightmare stylistic matchup for him. So let's get this final round going now, guys. Starts at 27 minutes and 46 seconds. That's 27 minutes and 46 seconds. Let's get it going. Let's go, let's go. Let's go. Let's get it going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And yeah, I think we're probably going to be done here, guys, after this. I just don't think there's that much more footage that we could watch, which would give us more information than what we've already gathered. So I don't really see the need to watch any more fights. I think we're done here. So I'm just going to summarize how I see this fight based on everything that we've watched. I do think that O'Malley is going to outstrike Sterling very comfortably. I don't think Sterling's going to be in that much trouble, if I'm honest, because he is very good defensively. But I don't think he's going to be able to get near O'Malley. O'Malley's footwork and movement is too good. Problem I have with O'Malley is that he was giving up cheap takedowns against Peter Yan. And Sterling has far better grappling control, far better offensive wrestling than Peter Yan. So if Yan was able to get, O'Malley down 2-3 times relatively easily, Sterling's going to be able to as well. And what has also really stuck out to me is that where earlier on in Sterling's career he had a tendency to slow down a lot in the third round, his cardio has looked really good in the third, fourth and fifth against both Cejudo and Yan in this rematch. You can see here, even now, he's still quite light on his feet. I mean, look at that beautiful double leg entry to the body lock. And with how easily O'Malley was giving up takedowns against Yan, it's very difficult to see Sterling not having a lot of success with grappling against O'Malley. That doesn't mean O'Malley won't have success, because we know Sterling's not like Merab, right? Sterling doesn't spam takedowns. He takes rounds off. He's very tactical. So I could see this being a close fight, because I know Sterling won't commit hard to his grappling in every round. But when Sterling does commit to his grappling, it's difficult to see a situation in which O'Malley could stop him. So from a betting point of view, for me, the fight is a bit dead. Because with Sterling being such a big favourite, there's just no upside in betting him. It's a very bad risk to reward ratio to bet on Sterling. Too big of a favourite. O'Malley could knock him out. Could be a close fight. Maybe O'Malley shows up and improves. Maybe O'Malley's takedown offence a lot better than it was against Yan's. So you can't bet Sterling at these odds, but for me, I'm not interested in O'Malley either. You know me, guys. I'm looking for those rock solid bets where it's so obvious one fighter has an advantage over the other that we know we're overwhelmingly stacking the odds in our favour. Like, look at Yasmin Lasindu last week. Such an amazing position for us to put our money in. Look at our bet on Justin Gaethje on the last pay-per-view. When we did the research session on Poirier versus Gaethje, it was so clear that Gaethje was the strongest side to be on, and underdog odds as well. Like, Gaethje had so many advantages over Poirier in that fight. Those are the kind of bets we want to be looking for. In this one, it's so hard, because even though Sterling's got advantages, his advantages are baked into the odds with him being a big favourite. And even though there are ways O'Malley can win, him knocking Sterling out, him being able to stop Sterling's wrestling, they're not the most likely outcomes. So if you do bet O'Malley this weekend, you're putting your money in a lot of danger. So for that reason, I just prefer to pass on this one. We've done great this year. We've made a profit almost every year this year on pre-fight betting. We know the strategy works well. We know the formula works well. There's no point in forcing bets. We'll just stick to our game plan, stick to our strategy, wait for the strong positions to come along, and that's how we'll keep grinding out profits. But for me, this fight ain't the one, man. I don't see a strong position on either side here. I think the odds are probably about where they should be. There might be a little bit of value on O'Malley, maybe. Maybe the odds are a bit wide. But at the end of the day, does it even mean anything if Sterling drags him to the ground and ragdolls him? I like what Londo said earlier on. This is the first true legit grappler O'Malley's facing. And it does remind me a little bit of Conor Khabib in terms of styles. Obviously Sterling is nowhere near as good as Khabib, But it's not going to be easy for O'Malley to go from facing 0 MMA grapplers to now facing one of the best MMA grapplers in the division. It's like a big jump. And I don't think that's going to be easy. So I hope you found that stream useful, guys. Hope you found it useful. In terms of if you do want to bet this fight, though, just to wrap this one up, if you really, really, really want to bet this fight to make watching it more interesting, it's definitely dog or pass. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, if we just switch camera for a sec, just as we wrap this one up, like, if you really, really, really want to bet this fight, you have to go O'Malley. You would be crazy. Why am I highlighting Amanda Lemos? Here he is. If you really want to bet this fight, you've got to go O'Malley. You would be crazy to bet Aljamain Sterling in this odds range. There's just no upside. Because there are ways O'Malley can win. It's just not the most likely outcome. And for me, the odds aren't generous enough on O'Malley to roll the dice. Because if you look at odds of 3.15, that's an implied probability of 30%. I mean, to get a decent margin of value over the bookie, you'd probably want to cap O'Malley at like 40%, which is a difficult thing for me to do with how easily Yan was getting him down. So if O'Malley was like a 5.0 underdog, that would get me interested. But at these odds, I just don't think there's enough meat on the bone for me. So it's an easy pass. But if you do want to bet this fight to make watching him more interesting, definitely go with O'Malley. His odds give you a far better risk to reward ratio than Sterling. So I hope you all found that useful, guys. I'm going to be dropping the breakdown video for the rest of the fights on my YouTube channel tomorrow. So nice one, everyone, for watching. Take care, guys. Love you all. And I will see you all. Well, I'll do another live stream next week for the... Oh, shit. Maybe I won't. That's a bit of a shitty main event. I'm not sure we need to waste our time with this one, man. That is a very tough fight for Korean Zombie. So maybe I won't do a live stream for next week's main event. Maybe we'll do them for the Gan Spivak fight instead. So anyway, nice one, guys. Thanks for watching. Love you all. Take care. And I'll see you all really soon. Nice one, guys. Bye.